is our first video for Chapter 12. We're going to be discussing in this chapter correlational research studies, and this first video will discuss what actually is a correlation. So what is the goal of the correlational research strategy? In a correlation, we want to establish that a relationship exists between two variables. We want to describe the nature of that relationship, and again, the nature is described, it's not explained. We're telling how strong the relationship is between two variables, what the form of that relationship is, and what the direction of that relationship is. In a correlation, there's no attempt to manipulate the variables. There's no attempt to control the variables or interfere with the variables. So in a correlation, we cannot determine a cause and effect relationship. It only determines the relationship or the association between variables. If we want to determine cause and effect, we do experimental research. Experimental research determines cause and effect relationships because you're manipulating variables, you're controlling variables. So how do we evaluate the relationships between these numerical scores or ranks? Each individual gets scores that are in a pair, and they're identified as X and Y. So each individual has a score for variable X and a score for variable Y. This data can be presented in a list showing the two scores for each individual. So here we have individual A, or person A, and they have a score for variable X. They also have a score for variable Y. Person B has a score for variable X and Y. Person C has a score for variable X and Y, and so on and so forth. So these scores can also be shown in what's called a scatter plot. So here's a scatter plot. Here are those same scores. As you can see, each individual score is shown as a single dot. So this individual, family income in thousands of dollars was 31, and their grade was 72. So this dot right here represents that individual. Just put the cursor over that. Let's see if we can find individual L. They had family income of 106,000 and student's average grade was 97. So 106,000, probably this individual right here. So each one of these dots represents one of these people and is showing where their score for family income and average grade intersects. Here's just another set of data looking at another graph. Again, here's the scatter plot and here's the data. So person A has a score of X equals 1 and Y equals 3. That would be right here. Person D has a score of X equals 7 and Y equals 12. And that is up here. See, X is 7, Y is 12. So a correlation coefficient is going to measure and describe the relationship between these two variables. When we look at a correlation coefficient, we can know that it describes two characteristics of that relationship. It describes the direction of the relationship with a positive or negative sign, and it can tell us the strength or the consistency of the relationship with what the actual number is. And we'll discuss more about that in the next video.